Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Eileen, and this is another dose of an exiled empath. And for those of you who are listening in on Blog Talk Radio, this is Healing House Radio. So, today is Sunday, and it's been a heck of a week with a lot of, kind of interesting back and forths. But I did have something really cool happen. First, the power should be back on at home probably tomorrow evening, or we've been told that it should be back on tomorrow evening. Now, the water is a totally different issue, because since it was viewed as a good idea to have plastic pipes above ground in a place that could, burn, there's a lot of repair that needs to be done on the system. Hey, Luna. Hi. Yes, Luna. Who is, say hi, Luna. Luna is really looking forward to getting back home, because here I don't feel comfortable with her going outside because, it's a new place and she could very easily get lost. So, I've been keeping her as an indoor cat, which, she's taken in good spirit. But I know that she will really love being back home where she can roam around in her, in her woodland area and, stalk birds or whatever it is that she wants to do. Sam, I think that, he's pretty comfortable most places, but I know that he also would like to get home, because whenever I go up and check, and, it's about, where my cabin is about an hour from where I am. So it's like a 2-hour round trip, and the air still is pretty bad up there. There's still a lot of smoke up there. The fire, I think they're in the 85 or 87% contained. So, but there's still a lot of work to do up there. But anyway, it is kind of, an emotional thing, because when I go up and I check to see, it's like, oh, is the power on? Is the water on? Because I know once those two things happen, I can go home and I can start putting things back together and rebuilding my life. But that's, it doesn't happen. And each time I go up and, and I check and see, and it's not, in a way that it would be safe for me to go back, it sort of drops my heart a little bit. And, we've all had things that we've wanted to do, that we've wanted to be able to kind of get going, and it's like, okay, it's been over a month. I'm ready to just go home now. And, I still have to be patient. I still have to wait. I still have to focus on other things and take care of other things and kind of keep myself busy so that, I can be able to just kind of go from day to day. And that can be hard. It really can. And I also understand that I am so much luckier than so many people who lost everything and they have nothing to go back to. And, there is that part of me that feels badly that that my cabin made it. I mean, it sounds dumb, but we talked about survivor's guilt, and that's something I'm still kind of working through. But each day it's, I just focus on, okay, this is what I need to do to take care of this. I can help out as much as I can and contribute to organizations and contribute to, places that are supporting the people, because that's usually the best way to help. And, and if you do want to help, there are, I'm going to have in the description one of the places that is still working. A lot of the evacuation centers have closed down as people have been able to go back to their homes. But there is still a place that's working on, gathering and distributing stuff for people who don't have homes to go back to, or, for whatever reason, maybe it's that they don't have the water, that they still have to wait. So that'll be in the description. And it'll be really cool if you can, if you have the means to, to help out. That would be awesome. So, kind of an up and down thing there, and it's to the point where I've reached the place where it's got to be okay. If I can't go home yet, if I can't go home today, I will eventually. And I remind myself of that eventually I will go home. And for the people who don't have anything to go back to, they are faced with having to rebuild, or, they've got a lot of decisions they're making. And I'd like you to hold all of them in really good thought. And even if you don't know them, a good thought, the best part is it doesn't matter if it's, if you know the person, if you don't, you can say, wow, for everybody who's going through this particular thing, I just want to send out a good thought. If you're a person who prays, include them in your prayers. If you're just somebody who likes, putting out a good thought, that energy matters. It makes a difference. It does create something. And if a lot of people are doing it, then that is actually a pretty cool thing. So, that was kind of an up and down thing. And, like I said, this week was crazy because I was a guest on a podcast on Twitch. And, well, actually, we went through Discord. And 2 Twitch streamers who are, just awesome guys. They're gamers. And one is the Real Narrowminds. And the other one is JayStunZ in New York. And Narrowminds asked me to be on a podcast and talk about things like wellness, talk about people dealing with depressions. Luna. See, I've got my laptop set up here, and now she's decided she's going to rub her head against the thing I've got it set on. So it's like, really, Luna? Really? So it was a 3-hour podcast, and we talked, and there were people in the chat room, and it really was a lot of fun. And we went over a lot of subjects, and we talked about 9/11 and impacting, how that impacts, us both as a society and as individuals, how people are dealing with stress, and that there's some people, and they get a lot of young people who call in who are feeling pretty stressed out. And we talk about depression. We talk about, people who are thinking about maybe harming themselves. And, there's actually a wonderful, there's some really funny moments too. So it was a nice blend, and I was really just so happy to participate in it. And in the description, there are links to both of those interviews. There's 2 parts. I mean, like I said, we went 3 hours, but, he wanted to cut it down so that it wasn't all in one bite. And so it was, but, there was a lot of information in it. They both, provided some amazing insights. And apparently my new title is The Gamer Doctor. So maybe we'll see where that goes. It's just, and I realized that I hadn't uploaded in a few days, and I felt kind of bad for that. And I knew that I needed to, that was a big thing, and, just running around and taking care of a lot of different things. And I'm so looking forward to having my, my space back, and, my regular equipment back, and all of that. But for now, we just make do. For now, we have an occasionally shaky screen, because the cat bumps into it, or, it's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be perfect to be okay. And that is a very important thing to remember, that whatever you're going through, it doesn't have to be perfect in order to work. It doesn't have to be perfect in order to be all right. Because, I mean, and perfect is only what we state in our minds anyway. It's something that we decide. So if it's in our heads that we're deciding what's perfect, then at any time we can change that, that meaning. We can change that, what that means, and we can be able to move forward and go, okay, well, if I redefine perfect from this to this is totally achievable. So, it's not ideal, but it's doable. It's something you can manage and you can build with. And rebuilding is definitely something that is on a lot of people's minds and in a lot of people's hearts, in whatever way. Maybe because of COVID, maybe you lost your job, or maybe you had to give up your job to take care of somebody. Or maybe, God forbid, you got sick, which if any of those cases are a part of your life, then, I just wish you every single blessing. I really do. Because that's some hard stuff. And, when you have to think about, how you want to start over and how, what is life going to look like on the other side of this? It's like everything is divided up now between before COVID and after COVID. Because it seemed like the world just went kind of crazy and everything just went nuts after that. So if we can be able to redefine what perfect is, because what was perfect before COVID is probably not the same perfect as afterwards. So it's about redefining that. And sometimes it takes time, and it takes going over something over and over and over and over and over again until we reach that point. It's like, you know what? I'm comfortable with this. I'm okay with this. This works for me. And, and it can be scary. It can be very, very scary. Doing something new. I was actually pretty scared about doing the podcast. Because I've been doing this for, quite a while, and on Blog Talk Radio, I've been doing that for many years. And this was different because it was somebody else's thing. And it was, suddenly it's like I felt like a guest. I felt like, oh, wow, I've got to do this right because I want it to go well for them. And so I felt that kind of pressure on myself. And it took a bit to talk me into it, quite honestly. And I was glad I did. I was glad I took that leap. I was glad I explored something new. And right now is a wonderful time to explore new things. It's a good time to consider what after COVID is going to look like for you. What after 2020 is going to look like for you. And what do you want it to look like? How do you want it to be? How do you want to walk in this world when things are not what they are now? When we can hug again, or when, we don't have to worry about social distancing or masks, and one day that will come. It will, honestly. We will move through this. It's just a matter of how long. And sometimes it does feel like we're walking in circles and just, for me, it's bouncing between here and my home. And each time thinking, okay, if I turn on that spigot and that water's on and we find out that it can be, even if I can't drink it, I'm okay with that as long as it's working and, and I have sewage services and all of that stuff. So it's not perfect yet. And yes, in a perfect world, I would go back and everything would be fine and the water wouldn't have to be boiled or whatever. But I'll take less than perfect, because at this point, less than perfect would be perfect. So consider, what is it that you are holding out for that perfect outcome? And maybe it's a little bit of a jiggly camera right now. Or maybe it's not what you view as perfect. Consider how that could be changed. If you're defining what perfect is, would you be willing to consider a different definition? Maybe to kind of bring something a little bit closer? Give it a thought, because we all have those things that we want to be able to get done and have it look a certain way. And no, it's not going to look that way, at least not for a little while. But you can be close. And if we can be okay with not so perfect, I'd say that's a win. So, thank you for joining me. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can leave them in the comments section. You can also reach me through Medicine Walk with Dr. Eileen, my Facebook group. You can follow me on Twitter. You can reach me at the email address that I have at in the description. And like I said, you can leave a comment. Now, if you like this video, then please consider liking it. And also, if you have not subscribed, it would be awesome if you could. That would really help me out, and it would really help out the channel a lot. And you know, it's just so wonderful seeing the community grow bit by bit. Oh, and like I said, there's links in the description to the podcast that I did, both parts, and go over to those channels and show them a bit of love, because you know, they really are great guys, and they care very much about their communities, and they want everybody to be okay. So it's, you know, hanging out with gamers is very cool, and you know, they may be a bit younger, but they've got a lot of amazing insights. So, you know, go over and check them out. So again, thank you for joining me. And as always, I wish you balance, and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. Love you, and see you next time. Bye. And hopefully soon it'll be back from the cabin. Fingers crossed.